Lord, and welcome back to the Texas Hill Country Insider. I'm Ryan Rendon with the Rendon Realty Group.
And I'm Steven Butcher with Butcher Bear and Signature Homes.
So this is episode number 22. Hard to believe we're already 22 episodes into this thing, but we have on Jacob and Katie Rhodes today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we always start off each episode, as always, with a prayer. So we'll do that, and then we'll get into y'all's snapshot. All right. I'll start this thing because I think you did it last time. So.
Yes, sir. Your turn.
Right. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lord Jesus Christ, thank you for today. Thank you for the beautiful blessing of living here in the Texas Hill Country and also having on Jacob and Katie to talk about their story. Thank you just for blessing us with our children and the ability to send them to a school like Ambleside, which starts next week. Thank you for all the teachers who are working hard to get school rolling this year, and the administrative staff and everybody else. And I just pray that you protect our children, look after them, and guide them, lead them to always to do the will of our Father in heaven. Guide us as well as parents to do your will and to just be strong parents for our children, to lead them in the right path as best as we can. I pray this all in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, let's do this thing. So, guest snapshot. Jacob and Katie Rhodes are the owners and operators of HoneyTree, where they design, build, and operate unique tree homes and cabins for short-term rentals near Fredericksburg. Their goal is bigger than simply giving guests a place to sleep. They want to create a beautiful place where couples can disconnect from the biggest stressors of modern life and reconnect with each other. They fell into the business somewhat by accident after moving to Fredericksburg, where Katie grew up. Jacob says he has always loved creating things, art, sculpture, construction, and that everything finally clicked when he started building fancy tree houses. Katie's roots in Fredericksburg run deep. Her parents were prominent local doctors whose practice was in the old, how do you pronounce that?
Keidel. Still are, actually. Still doctors, still practicing.
Still
not practicing
doctors.
at Keidel.
Not practicing at
Not
Keidel.
Keidel, though.
But they're still rolling.
Still doctors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
And what's your maiden name?
Ramsey.
Ramsey. Okay. Dr. Ramsey's. Both of them are doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Both
Yeah,
doctors.
so Dr. Ramsey, and she goes by Dr. Ellison.
Okay.
Mother does.
Okay.
But yes, they're both still practicing.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, good to know.
Nice.
Good to know. But now it's the restaurant, and then how do you pronounce that? Der Kitchen?
They're Kuchen.
Their Kuchenladen
Kuchen.
is, that's where they used to practice, is in Keidel Hospital,
Right.
which is now Der Kuchenladen, the
Yes.
kitchen store, and then I
Yeah.
think the Rathskeller's underneath.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful building on Main Street.
It really is. Yeah. Awesome spot. I actually have never eaten there.
And back
either
in the
Rathskeller or the
70s or the 80s that your parents first
in the 80s.
disembarked in the 80s. So
In
in
the
the 80s, that was an
80s.
operating hospital, and that's where they
Funny.
practiced.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's
back
good to
when
know.
Main Street was,
a lot different.
Main Street.
They're probably
Yeah,
horses,
Right.
Probably horses and carriages.
Rolling
how I
way
imagine
back.
it.
Yeah. Oh, man. So one of their biggest early challenges came while building their first unit. Jacob and Katie were bumping heads enough that they had to come up with a strategy for how to work together and stay married. Jacob says the solution was funny and it worked. They are now building new units, and this will be their first podcast, although they have appeared on home builder shows and in news stories. All right, well, that's your snapshot. So we'll dig into that a little bit more. First of all, I want to kind of get to know you guys. Obviously, I know you from the gym. Jacob, Katie, I've seen you around the gym too, and of course, church.
Obviously.
But yeah, obviously,
I see the guns.
getting swole me go. So, Katie, you're from here. Your parents are local doctors.
But
You want to dive into your
But
story
they
a little
moved
bit?
here in the 80s. When you move here in the 80s, you're not really
Not
local.
a local,
Yeah.
Unless you're third, fourth, generation German, you're not from, yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't get off an actual boat in Corpus Christi
Yeah.
before arriving in Fredericksburg, you're still like a Johnny come lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm local enough to remember people speaking German around town.
Okay, yeah.
And still catch some snippets too
Yeah,
outside
a
of
little
Mass.
bit.
Every now and then, some old
Mhm.
guys, Gates.
One of my buddies, when I first got into real estate, so I graduated high school here, but my buddy Evan, his granddad, third or fourth generation German, whatever it was, they still answered the house phone back when everybody had house phones in German. Yeah, they just knew
cute.
if it was probably one of their neighbors or something
Yeah.
that was calling about something.
It's probably a landline too.
It was landline. yeah, with the long cord and everything. Oh yeah, for sure. So it's funny. It is slowly.
It's dying.
Unfortunately dying though.
It's dying.
Yeah,
It literally, the people are dying.
yeah. I mean, what can you do though? I mean, you try to keep the tradition alive. as best as we can as a community, as a town. But
Yeah, but like all things, it's
yeah.
temporal. It's
Yeah.
going to eventually, all things are going to just go.
Yeah, right,
So,
right,
Try not to mourn it too much.
right. Well,
Value
It
it
is
while
what
it's
it
still
is.
here.
yeah, exactly. So in the 80s, so you graduated high school, everything from here, Fredericksburg High?
I went to Heritage.
You went to Heritage. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
her parents
why
were
aren't
pretty
you?
instrumental in starting Heritage, getting off the ground, and then there was kind of an Ambleside split at some point where they started Ambleside, but Katie was already well on the Heritage track. And then, when we came back after years away, getting married, all that, came back, then we were just, really deciding how we wanted to do this with our family, and it happened to be Ambleside.
Okay.
But they're both great schools.
Yeah,
we have so many good
100%.
school options
So
in this
different,
town.
though. I know.
That's crazy.
We've talked about that. Like
We're
how
so
many?
lucky.
Okay, Ambleside. You have obviously St. Mary's, the public school.
Yeah, St. Mary's.
St.
Public
Mary's.
schools also like well respected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small town. You can't go wrong sending your kids to the public school. I mean, it's a small town. It's not like you're
A
downtown
lot of people
Houston or
like
something.
choose it too, like conscientiously. There's like a thing about I want to make sure that my kid just gets either exposed to what the world is really
Right.
like a wide variety
Yeah.
of people and backgrounds and stuff, or it's like I don't want to damage the school system by sending my kid private because then I'm not supporting.
Yeah.
The
Right.
I kind of get each element of those arguments, but at the end of the day, it's really eclipsed for me by what can I provide to my child that's the highest good for him or her.
Yeah.
And that's how
Yeah.
we made our decision.
Yeah.
So, but I certainly, all the other schools in this town, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We love them all. It was an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're truly blessed to be here in Fredericksburg. I mean, look at Kerrville. You have Notre Dame and Notre Dame. That's about it for
Don't get me in line.
school age
Yeah.
kids. There's not OLH for high school, but really outside of that, I don't think they really have a whole lot of options. You know,
I don't
a lot
know
of them
anything
come
about
here.
Kerrville.
Yeah, a lot of them will come here. Like my old, the
Uh-huh.
broker I was with Fort Premier, they send their kids to Heritage, the fours.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We're in this little small town like this, have so many options. But yeah, I mean, we so both of our kids, all of our kids, you'll have 5. First of all, I guess we kind of talk about that too. Y'all have 5 kiddos. They range from 15 to 3.
3.
That's
15
something.
and 3.
What a spread! What a spread! So yeah, that's crazy. And then you'll have boy. You have a mix of boys and girls.
We kept it super tidy. Boy, girl, boy, girl, boy.
No kidding.
So,
Nice.
That's something else. Wow. Well, so our kids start school next Tuesday, so that's exciting.
yeah.
I'm excited to get into that. With Ambleside and everything they have going on. It's such a tight knit community.
Yeah.
The parents are so involved. I was talking to Andrea about that the other day. It's interesting how involved the parents are with that school. Heritage too.
It's like a family culture
Yeah.
of the school.
Yeah.
And it's, whether or not they need volunteers for this or that thing, they really are
Want to.
actively kind of recruiting and making sure that people are involved in the school community.
Yeah.
I mean, I was out there yesterday just doing some bonus weed whacking around the campus right before school starts because, the grounds guy is getting a little older and, skip some spots. And I'm like, all right, I'll just go do it myself.
Well,
That's the culture of the school.
yeah.
It's
yeah.
cool. It's very cool. It's familial.
Having that dad's cleanup day. That
Yeah.
was Saturday.
Yeah.
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 We were
I had
actually
to miss that, but
we were supposed to be there for the new family orientation, but then our baby had a reaction to, I haven't even told you that yet. He had a reaction to eggs, and our oldest, Rowan.
That's a
who's-
pretty common.
I know. Yeah. I mean, so Rowan, he's anaphylactic to tree nuts. So he started having all these hives. He was breaking out to. We're like, oh crap, let's just go to hospital. We don't know what's. So on his back, he was completely,
We have one kid that does that.
really.
But we haven't
We have
found
no
the
idea
trigger.
what causes it.
You don't know.
It's
really.
random.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, one time it was like in the ocean in Port Aransas.
Really?
He's like, Mom, I'm
Start
getting
breaking
like
out
itchy.
hives.
And then like within 30 minutes, he was like passing out.
Oh
and
my gosh.
It's
Jeez.
for real.
No breathing issues, which is
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
he,
good.
yeah, he
That's
didn't have any breathing stuff. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I had technically anaphylaxis. I don't know if that's only when it like involves constriction of the throat or if it's just
think-
any.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
It's
you gotta
scary.
be careful.
though.
It's
Yeah.
but
It's-
also prepare them for life,
right.
which is going to be exposure to a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to know.
Yeah. So, Katie, your parents came in the 80s. Where are they originally from?
my dad's originally from Michigan, and my mom's been in Texas that family's been in Texas for generations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Michigan and Texas. And then all right, so y'all moved together as a family. Were you already born when y'all moved?
No,
You
I was
so you were born
here.
here. Okay, awesome. And then Jacob, where are you originally from?
That is a long story. That's not what this podcast is about. So we're going to skip a lot of it.
skip
But
that.
basically, we bounced around a lot. My mom was a hippie flower child. And so it's a very colorful kind of upbringing. Eventually landed at University of Dallas, which is an awesome Catholic college. And that's where I got kind of involved in studying Catholicism. And I think three of us are Catholic. You're a convert as well, right?
Yeah,
You're
I am.
not a
Both
cradle.
of you guys are converts.
We were both converts, yeah. So that was senior year of college for us.
That's where y'all met.
And that's where we met.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then after that, I was interested in film and television. So I went to LA. Katie went to Rome and lived in Italy for a year.
Wow.
Eventually, I guess it was a year after we graduated when we got
I moved
engaged.
to LA. We got engaged.
And then you moved to LA. Yeah, we did things in the right order.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we got married and then we had children.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Again, tidy. We kept it tidy. It's about as vanilla as it.
Yeah.
Except for the having 5 kids part. Now that's not very vanilla. That's that's a flavor.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to Adam Vinci at the gym about that. He's like, he's saying it seems like it's a criteria here in Fredericksburg that you have to have like 3+ kids.
There's a big evangelical culture where it's like 3.
Yeah.
And then whoops, sometimes people have 4.
yeah, they basically say you have to
But
have,
once
your,
you get
have
to
to have your
5
5th kid so they know it wasn't just 3 plus your ex.
Yeah, that's a Catholic say. If you get to 5, then it's clear that it wasn't just 3 and a whoops.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We love our kids. Our kids are great. But it is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And parenting is a whole adventure. It's not easy all the time. It's constantly changing. The minute you think you have something figured out, a different kid has a whole new thing pop up where you're like, whoa, brand new challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, parenting's a whole thing.
It's new for all of us. It's
Right. Everyone's
you know what
making
I
it
mean?
up.
Yeah.
Even if you have a great family history and a good role model, you're still dealing with
You've never been a parent
new
before.
kid.
Yeah.
This kid has never had a parent before.
Yeah.
You've never been a parent before. He's different than any other kid that you've ever met. So it's all kind of making it up.
It's interesting, man. I love it, but it could test you.
It's a challenge. No doubt.
Yeah,
That's how we
for sure.
keep growing, though.
Yeah.
It's we've grown, but you can't stop growing. And family is one of the key ways that you are forced to keep growing.
Yeah.
Or, falling into a terrible pattern. It can break you too. I mean, there's a lot of people that just don't do it well.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, there's sad stories out there.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean,
If you do embrace it like the challenge it is, then it can be, I think, a growthful thing.
Well, I think that does come down to your upbringing in a lot of ways. Like you said, okay, so you have your first child. It's all new to you. But a lot of times you do rely on how you were raised and stuff like that. So if it was kind of in a broken household and all that, you do your best to try to break that trend or whatever. If it may have been abuse or whatever, you try to be different.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, I was. Luckily, my parents are still married. They had their very, very challenging times in life and all that. But I
Pull through.
Yeah, try to do my best every day. But anyways, let's talk about the HoneyTree a little bit too.
We're getting as off track as we possibly
we could
can.
probably talk for 4 hours. I guarantee you. There's
I told them before
so
the
much.
podcast too. We gotta just 1 hour. We gotta go because our kids. Blah blah blah. Now I'm the one letting it go off the rails.
Yeah, we've had some pretty lengthy. Justin Hagendorf, it was just me and him. We talked for over 2 hours, and we could have gone for another 2. But
He's such a fun guy.
he is. He's a good dude. All right, so how? Let's talk about HoneyTree a little bit. How it began, because y'all moved back to Fredericksburg, and the idea somehow popped up. So let's kind of hear about that story a little bit.
Our property is right next to the property that I grew up on.
Okay.
And actually, my parents were at Hondo's and saw their neighbors there and brokered a deal over a margarita and texted us and said, "Hey, if we buy 10 acres, do you want to buy it from us next door?" And we said, "Well, we'll take a look." So that's how we ended up with.
So there's a
first property.
10 acre slice of land just adjacent. We share a fence with her parents' property, and
I guess when we started out, we really didn't have a huge vision for this thing. We
didn't have a solid plan. We
were
knew
just
we wanted to build
everybody.
a bed and breakfast, and that's it. And that was for supplemental income. I was still my job in Houston. I was running a team of handymen. we specialized in installing a certain kind of closet the Container Store sold called Alpha. So I had my team of guys installing Alpha closets all over Houston every day.
Okay.
But I was able to sort of back out of actually doing the physical work and just manage my team, reassign my jobs to them and just like manage them. And so I was like, I think we can move to Fredericksburg and I could still just do this because it's our own business. We were, and so that actually hung on for a couple of years after we moved here. And then my physical job was like trying to build a B&B cabin.
Yeah.
Because, even at the time, B&Bs were a successful thing around Fredericksburg. Yeah. I knew I had the handyman skills to figure out how to build one, even though I had never built a cabin or a house or, I had done some remodels.
Right.
I kind of knew, I knew what stud spacing should be for a wall. But most of the building of that first cabin was just like
learning experience.
Me looking at YouTube, like, how do you do, what size lumber do I need if my span is this long, all that stuff was just sort of wrestling through how to do it. Right. And then her dad helped me, for a day or two. My dad came down from Iowa where he lives, and he helped me for a day or two. But mostly, it was just me alone.
That's wild.
With a ladder.
Wow.
And a nail gun.
And also, that's like that was the concept because we knew where we wanted to build, and there was just
we didn't have money to hire anybody.
We have really great trees on our land, and we didn't want to cut one of them down.
Live oaks. I mean, this is a hill country insider. Y'all know live oaks are pretty precious. You don't cut a tree down.
Oh, heck no.
Unless you have no other choice. Yeah. So we found this beautiful bluff. It was covered in poison ivy, like climbing up the oak trees. There was a couple of sycamores and, all kinds of shrubs. But yeah, we got in there and we were like, this is the spot for the cabin because it's elevated. It's got this gorgeous view of the hillside over there. There's wildflowers over there in the spring and summer. So we knew the spot we wanted, but there were like 5 live oaks, like right in the area where we would build the cabin.
So we just integrated them.
So we were like, crazy idea. Instead of a pier there or a pier here, we just use those trees. Wow. And we call it a treehouse. That might work on Airbnb. We might be able to
did we call it a treehouse out the gate?
I don't think we did out the gate. I think we converted it later to like the title of the listing. Yeah. Like made it a treehouse.
Yeah.
And then so we just kind of ran with that concept after that.
And then it really popped. Like people, this was still like Airbnb had kind of had an initial heyday, but it was going really wide at that time, especially kind of unique stays were just getting going.
Yeah.
And our timing was just super great. I mean, because we opened that one up in 2018. Our
timing was so lucky.
So just a huge STR wave that hit in 2020. Like we had 3 open. We were opening 2 more. So we caught that with our initial 5 units. We just caught that wave thoroughly.
But you're getting ahead of the story. I mean, we're halfway through the first cabin, right?
You're the one who said that we were on.
This is our life.
Yeah.
Katie holding me to things that I totally agree to.
Well, Jacob doesn't do numbers, and his wife numbers are like.
Yeah,
they don't.
They're like
cartoon.
They're cartoon numbers. In my world.
That's hilarious. Man, what an experience though. We'll have to we'll throw it up on the screen for everybody to see. And you can check it out. If anybody wants to go check out your page, we'll of course add this at the end. But if they want to go see what y'all have going on,
the Sycamore Treehouse is the one we're talking about because of all the it looks out over the creek bed, a bunch of sycamores, but it's built onto live oaks.
That's the baby.
That was cabin number 1. Yeah. So like you mentioned in the little blurb in the front, we started building this thing and we realized pretty quickly that like we both had opinions. It was not like Chip and Joanna Gaines where Joanna's like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And Chip was like, all right. And he goes and does it. Like Katie was like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And I'm like, I don't want any of those things. We're going to negotiate every single point because I think, I want something different than you want.
Yeah.
And so then we realized like, if we both keep compromising with each other and only like holding our sacred cows and, we'll end up with something that neither of us really like because we both had to compromise a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm very proud that it was my idea to just say, you know what? Maybe we don't compromise. Maybe we build 2 cabins. You design this one however you want. I'll do the work. You pick the tile. You pick the, by that point it was already like structurally kind of, we already had a frame and a size and a layout of like the architectural side of it, which we just drew on, graph paper, the little 1/4 inch blue and white graph paper. We just pencil draw stuff.
That's hilarious.
And so we had that kind of down. So about halfway through, Katie kind of took over the aesthetics. So it's not purely like, Katie's vision from top to bottom, but it established this pattern where Katie gets to sort of design the way she wants to design, and it ends up looking awesome.
Yeah.
And then I went off and built the second one, and I got to design however I want to design, which is a little bit more wacky. Like I'll cut loose a little bit more,
But it's true that
adventurous stuff. Outdoor bathtub. That was kind of
that first one that you designed, like from the bottom up, without me, was the one that launched the brand.
Yeah.
But
it was unique enough. I think
it was
eye catching.
Yeah, experience-based stays were super new, and there wasn't a lot like them on the market, and so it really catapulted that unit did, and then we kind of at
this point, we didn't have a website or a brand, or we just had 2 cabins on Airbnb that we happened to call treehouses because they're legitimately, supported by trees. And it ended up being a moment in time where people were still coming to Fredericksburg as much as they could. It's this wine industry, wine tasting kind of destination.
Yeah.
So a lot of romantic couple getaways happening. Honeymoons, anniversaries, birthday trips, that kind of thing. And so we both had a product that was really attractive for the crowd that was already trying to look at coming to Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
So that convergence was kind of perfect.
Yeah.
And so then things kind of exploded with those 2 units, and we were like, do we want to stop? I don't want to stop. It's exhausting work, and it's, you have bad days. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that got left out on those projects. But it was also really fulfilling work. Sometimes the hardest stuff is where at the end of the day and you're exhausted, you're like, man, I really did a lot of stuff. You feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got addicted to that. It's just feeling productive, working hard in the heat. And so we built a third one after that. And then we were like, what if the efficiencies would go way up if we built 2 at the same time?
Yeah.
And so units 4 and 5, which are called the leaf treehouse and the acorn treehouse, we built simultaneously. So we would have guests staying in the first 3 tree houses, and they'd see me out there with a hammer. And, I was like, I don't annoy them with the noise.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in an Airbnb next to a construction site.
Right.
Turned out, guests loved
that.
it. They would come over and chat about it.
life.
And then I'd be like, I'm thinking I'm going to do a spiral staircase outside of this one to get to the front door. And they're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, get some of their input a little
Exactly.
bit, maybe. Yeah.
So they felt, they felt included, and they were.
cool.
I wasn't faking it. I was just like, thanks so much for letting me build while you guys are having a vacation.
Yeah.
So, that was the first 5 years, first 4 or 5 years of our
first 3.
3 years. Remember the numbers thing we talked about? I don't remember any of this. Those are all just cartoon numbers.
Y'all have 5.
5 units was
5 units.
that was phase 1.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Let's go.
All right, so then
Okay.
my brother out in LA happened to sell a company that he had worked on and merged with a couple other companies, and so he had kind of an unexpected amount of cash, and he was looking for investments. He knew how well our 5 units, our 4 and then 5 to 2, 3, 4, 5 units were doing, and he was like, I want to get in on this. Let's do more. Let's do a big swing. And so he kind of convinced us to hunt for property, buy a chunk of land. So we found a piece of property out about halfway to Enchanted Rock from Fredericksburg. So it's right in between Fredericksburg and Enchanted Rock. It was a great location for like nature lovers, stargazers. It's like a sweet deal, and it's right on this beautiful hillside, super steep. It's not useful for pretty much anything else. And then has this gorgeous view of the hills. And so we broke ground on Blue Sage, and we built 12 units at the same time.
12 units.
And so I had to redefine my role, figure out how to be a GC.
Yeah.
So we had framing teams, and we still hand drew every single cabin plan. Came up with Katie and I just like discussing we divided them up. Even units were going to be Katie's design. Odd units were going to be my design. They all have a lot of common, you wouldn't be able. It's not like all the Katie units are pink and all the Jacob units are blue.
Yeah,
Right.
Like there's still you would go into cabin 3 and be like, I don't know, did Katie design this or did Jacob design this? There's a lot of similar thematic stuff and aesthetics.
Yeah.
And since we found out that people were really responding to those more adventurous things, like glass panel garage door that you can lift up and walk right out onto your deck, which is elevated up in the tree, that kind of stuff, or a rooftop patio with a bathtub with a view, private, but still like kind of adventurous.
Yeah.
People respond. So we integrated a lot of those features into the 12 units at Blue Sage, which was more fun for me because, building a square box is okay, but like building something with some real character and a, interesting value proposition.
Right.
So like, well, you could have an experience that you really cannot have at home.
Right.
And so that's how we kind of approached that project.
Right.
And that, the plan was we're going to crush them all, do it in a year. 1 year, we're going to have them all. Well, it took 2 years. Okay. And, we're double the budget that we thought it would be. It's just a classic story of like people starting out building stuff and not understanding what it's going to take.
Yeah.
But we got there. They've been open for a couple years now, and they're doing great.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Awesome.
Well, y'all obviously had a lot of success in it. I'd like to hear like individually from each of you, what is maybe one mistake
calling me a mic hog.
No,
You're calling me a mic hog.
No, I want to hear one
wrong.
mistake that might have taught y'all something.
Well, honestly, it became a hallmark of our brand. Well, I mean, you hear how we're designing these things, right? So Jacob honestly does that because he doesn't really like to be locked in. He really wants to establish like the foundation and then just go stand on it and look around and be like, okay, I want a window here and there's nothing there. So he wants the flexibility in the process. And so we had to early on, like you've heard the term, like it's not a bug, it's a feature. So we were constantly like, when we would come up against problems, we'd be like, okay, what if this wasn't a problem? What if this was
how do
something?
we turn this ugly thing into the coolest part of the unit?
Yeah. And so
we try to do that over and over.
Yeah, be so like mistakes. We tried we tried to always embrace them as like opportunities. And I mean, I don't know, maybe that was just how I stayed sane in this process. I don't know. I think
what's an example? Can you think of one of the times where we were like, oh, this is so ugly. How do we make it amazing? And then like we solved it. I'm trying to rack my brain. I know we've done it a lot of times.
Such a pessimistic person. It's impressive to me that I'm not coming up with an example right now. But I mean, I don't know. The fact that we spent twice as much money on that project as we expected. Well, I mean, Jacob's timing was a little bit off. His brother's company was doing really well, and he wanted investment, so he started this investment with us. Then he sold the company and had this windfall, and so the fact that our budget was doubling really kind of was a blip on his radar as opposed to like a seismic thing.
Right.
So we really lucked out. I feel like we've lucked out a lot.
Hey,
it's not luck. It's providence.
Lord,
Lord provided.
So we kind of had to go back to the table with his brother to sort of renegotiate our contract since everything was more expensive than we were anticipating. But no, I'm trying to think like big mistakes.
Well, I'm thinking right now, like the acorn tree house that's got that big one of the piers of the acorn is a tree. And I was trying to figure out how to get stairs to the door level, the main level of the tree house. And then I was like, all right. Maybe I use the tree as the center point of this helical staircase that will like actually wrap around the tree and get people up to the door level. And was able to like, again, I'm going back to Google, like how do you do a spiral? Oh, it's called a helix. If it's got an empty core in the middle rather than a spiral, okay. How do I support that? So I just kind of figured that out. And then that became like it's on the back of my shirt. Whatever. Go look at the acorn tree house.
I mean, I don't know. One of our units was particularly small and it had a expansive bathroom in this small unit. And so we were having interior moisture issues in that unit. And that was
a huge challenge.
That was a huge challenge to sort of navigate that because effectively
the windows would sweat.
When you're building STRs, you, especially unusual ones that, you're relying on people to orient in the space.
Yeah, your guests.
Yeah, like, it's like if it's your house, you know what to do to keep things from going wrong, but you can't educate every single guest. You really do have to. So we've got to thread this needle of this is an unusual space, but we've got to work with your natural habits in this space. And effectively, we had to like put a dehumidifier outside of the unit that has a sensor in the unit, and like we can't rely on people to behave the way that we want.
right.
It's like you can, if you ever go into an STR and you see like little like notes everywhere, like this is how you do this or please do this. All that is
Labeled
telling
light
you
switches.
all the mistakes that people have made in this unit, right? It's not like it's not forethought of the owner. It's like, oh man, somebody must have broken that.
Somebody hit their head on that because now it says watch your head.
Yeah.
Somebody slipped on there because it says watch your step.
Yeah. And so people are constantly trying to, affect how people are behaving in their spaces, how their guests are behaving. And to some extent, you just can't,
People
so
are people.
That I would call that wasn't a mistake in the sense that, there was no way to really,
It was a challenge that informed
Yeah.
how we designed.
and it was a very frustrating
operate,
experience to sort of try to navigate,
Right.
that.
Because you can't re-educate a new guest every
single time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just going to be someone, walking into your space for the first time, most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to find it intuitive. They need to know where to go to get stuff. They need to,
And I know, and that's me when we're like building. I'm the one who's like, no, we have to have a light switch here. No, you have to have this here. Like, we're not going. And Jacob's like, it is okay. It's a treehouse. It's fine. And I'm like, no,
There are no
we
rules.
There are no rules.
We have to really we need to give them the illusion that this is really adventurous, but also relying on all of your natural ways of orienting in a space.
Right. What a challenge. That is so much different than, what you go through building custom homes. I'm sure sometimes you have to like, a mistake or some awkward part of the construction process. You kind of just have to roll with it, but it's definitely different from what you deal with building custom homes compared to, unique houses like that.
Way different. I mean, most of our logistics part of it's pretty well in tuned on our end. But everything that y'all do is completely different tree by tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Every single unit's unique, which, a lot of people are like, that's so dumb.
There's
Pick
like
one design,
zero.
and then you'll only make one set of mistakes, and then you'll solve it and never make that mistake again. And I'm like, but part of the appeal of our brand is that this is the only unit that looks like this.
Yeah.
This is what we were inspired to build in this particular spot.
Cool. And the other reality is that's what we like to do.
And it is more
and
fun.
if you're not excited about what you're doing, then it doesn't really matter how efficient you are, probably.
Right.
And this is not. I mean, I like for example, right now we're embarking on a new project, and it's basically just Jacob, and it's just one unit because we did just like realize like that was like the most fun.
Yeah,
just to kind
of. It was the most fun. One unit at a time. All my energy, all my creativity, just going into one unit, and then I'll do that again, and again and again and again.
GCing a large build was not your favorite experience.
Yeah, I just wasn't because of the numbers thing. I wasn't good at it.
Yeah. A lot of numbers involved there for sure.
Yeah.
So you said that basically your mission, I don't know if this is your official mission statement, quote unquote mission statement, but given couples the opportunity to disconnect from the modern world, all the stresses that we deal with, when did that become your mission statement, whatever you want to call it?
Super early.
Yeah.
Because we have rural internet.
Uh-huh.
So
it's a bug into a feature.
That's a bug into a
perfect
feature
example.
where we basically somebody came to stay and they wanted to watch some game or somebody came.
It was
to,
like the Masters or something.
Yeah, it was like within our
someone's
first.
like, I don't want to miss the thing that's on TV, even though this is our anniversary. Like, I'm not
No,
gonna
they
miss
were on
that.
their honeymoon.
Or honeymoon.
And afterwards,
that's worse, bro.
Afterwards, we got a review. The review that this girl wrote, she was like, "Well, we weren't able to. My husband wasn't able to watch this."
Oh,
she was like, "But that ended up being okay."
Yeah.
Like she realized that she loved that part. And so we realized that we didn't want to offer a bad viewing experience. In other words, we couldn't offer that. This is not going to be. We're not a sports
we had
bar.
a dish and we had a data cap, and as soon as you reach the data cap, like the quality goes down, or like we're paying out of pocket for every
Yeah, so we recognize that it's like if it's amenity is the word literally means to make something better. So if you have an amenity that's just making someone's experience worse, then it's not an amenity. And so we basically pulled the television and like put up a picture of some artwork there, and
If
basically
you
said,
stay in the
"This is who we
Sycamore-
are."
Yeah.
We don't have TVs.
If you stay in the Sycamore treehouse ever, and you look at the big picture on the wall in the living room, you look behind it. That's like there's an outlet and all the stuff from where the one TV used to be. And ever since that was taken down, we've added no TVs until that very end of Blue Sage. one unit that's the family unit that we have a TV in there so that parents can have private time and kids can watch something or whatever. Because we have kids, we get it. You know, that's when you have kids. That's not just like a whim thing. That's like a tool that you know use sparingly, hopefully. But as like a you know. A fun thing to do with the family or neutralize the kids or whatever.
But everyone brings their screens everywhere right now. So the idea
that also we have Wi-Fi.
Is kind of like,
we have good Wi-Fi at all the units.
Oh, okay. I see.
It's not like we're off grid. It's not composting toilets.
Right.
This is like double-headed shower.
that question, though.
We do get that. Do you guys have a toilet?
Yeah, do you have toilets? Do you have air conditioning? And we're like, what? How do you think we make money?
We're not going to host a honeymoon where someone's got to like
You're not
poop in a composting
roughing it,
especially here in Texas. It'd be a little hot.
Oh, gosh, without AC.
I mean, we will get people who are pretty finicky sometimes. Like, you know, one person who really, really wanted to, you know, go stargazing, but they were really worried about insects. Like, you know, and I was kind of like, look, but do you want to see stars? Because then there probably are going to be spiders. Like, show me the place where you can go see stars and you don't have to encounter nature. So we do try to
go watch stars on TV if you don't want to like see a wasp nest or you know.
I know we've talked about like doing like some cute printable with all the things that you need to watch out for if you decide to go outside.
Sticker birds.
Yeah, it's like
cactus,
sticker birds, bull nettle,
be careful,
noseburn,
if
coral
you see a
snakes.
snake that looks like this, don't touch it.
And
then we were like, that's a long list.
It's like, this is probably not going to.
That's bad branding.
Yeah.
To like put the list of all the
we think it's
things.
funny.
Yeah.
So how often do y'all have people here in Fredericksburg that stay there, just like staycations? Does that happen, or is it?
It happens.
Not too commonly.
It happens. It's not super common, but it does happen.
Yeah.
I mean, primarily we're getting people from San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Houston. So that's 80% of the people that stay. And we get a decent amount of repeat guests. Fredericksburg's great for that it's a place that people come back to again and again. So that's really valuable. But I don't know, staycations.
I don't know. I might have to hit one up.
You should. Y'all should.
I was thinking the same thing.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, especially if you're going to Enchanted Rock, because it's a hike from Fredericksburg. And I mean, to be staying, 10 minutes from Enchanted Rock, I feel like Fredericksburg doesn't capitalize on Enchanted Rock enough. I think it's just a geological wonder, and why aren't we all just there all the time?
Right.
Sure. But
so is the treehouse, those properties pretty close to each other, or are they?
They're about 15 minutes apart.
Okay.
So
both off 965.
The first 5 units are on the property where we live. Which is the Palo Alto Creek out just north on Llano Highway.
Okay.
Not too far, like 5 minutes out of the city limits.
Okay.
And then Blue Sage is off Highway 965, the one that goes to Enchanted Rock and eventually meets up with the Llano Highway, but it's the Enchanted Rock Highway. That's where Blue Sage is located. So I basically have to drive into town and then back out Highway 965 because there's no good cross.
Right.
There's a couple little country roads you can sneak over, but it's mostly it's pretty. It's remote, but it's a lot of people mention in the reviews. It's like the perfect amount of remoteness where you get a really dark sky and beautiful, stars, but also, it's just 10 minutes from Main Street if you want to go to dinner or you want to go, wine tasting or whatever. So we lucked out on that particular location.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you also said people often misunderstand what a short-term rental is supposed to be. Some expect a hotel, others expect something rough around the edges. Where does HoneyTree fit?
Oh goodness, yeah, that's the question we'd like answered. The reality
our guests are we're not sure in real time.
We live in the limbo between an STR, an Airbnb, and a boutique hotel, and some people expect you to deliver them a toothbrush, and then other people
won't even tell you. They we had a person kill a snake on one of the pathways, which is rare. It's rare. But
once this has happened.
But someone they didn't even mention it during their stay. They were just after they left, they're like, oh, by the way, I killed a snake. I left it out by the. And we were like, wow, those are two types of guests where someone expects white glove service. Bring me another towel, please.
Turn it down the room.
And then some people are like, I will kill the snake for him because this is Airbnb. It's just
because there's definitely Airbnbs where it's you're basically cleaning the thing before you leave. Some people really, and I don't even think we have. as a culture, we really understand what like we haven't really established, what is proper,
what should be expected.
STR behavior.
Yeah. So we try to over deliver. We try to under promise, like make people just know, like this is not a hotel. Whenever someone are like, how close are the units at the resort to one another? And we're like, not a resort.
Right.
Not a
Right,
resort.
yeah, we
If
don't
you come
use
expecting
resort,
that,
we don't
you're
use
going to
the
be
term
disappointed.
hotel. We don't. There's a lot of terms that we avoid to try to,
Setting expectations is a really important part of running an SDR. If you have if any of your viewers have a guest house or whatever, you just need to know that the best way to make a customer happy is not to overpromise what you've got. A lot of people get these really sexy photos and like, man, that looks nice. And then you show up and it turns out it's right next to an interstate. You're like, well, now I'm really disappointed.
Yeah.
And my host made me disappointed because they could have told me something they didn't tell me. And they set me up for disappointment.
Yeah, early on.
So we are very careful not to set people up for disappointment.
Yeah, we got feedback a lot early on with people saying, oh, it's even nicer than the photos. And we realized, okay, that is an indicator that we always want to hit. You have to have, photos is what sells your unit. So you have to have excellent photos. There's no way around that, but you want to make sure that your photos aren't overpromising.
Right.
At first we were like, oh shoot, does that mean we need nicer photos? And then we're like, no, not necessarily. What that means is that people are pleasantly surprised, even though we took good photos.
Right.
Yeah, and even at the time, and this is an idea that we haven't talked about in a long time, but we even talked about like rendering every single photo as an illustration and literally not having photos anymore. So there was this kind like
I'm glad we didn't do
This was
that.
at the time where we had we were
idea,
so far booked out, we could have done anything, and it would have been
the COVID 2021, we were booked out 365 days in advance at the highest prices we've ever charged.
Cow.
Yeah.
We had no vacancy.
We had 2 units that booked out a year in advance. All of the units booked out 100% occupancy 4 months in advance. That is that's what business was like when we started. We opened our doors and our calendar filled up 4 months overnight.
And then we wonder why the SDR market is saturated, oversaturated.
Right.
Now
Because
it's
who wouldn't
people,
come into that market?
people were looking at our booking calendar like, I can't book this place.
Yeah,
for
we
6,
literally
8,
would get people there. Your
10
calendar
months.
is broken. We're like, no,
It's not
just
broken,
full.
bro.
So we had we had no idea what to expect. We had no idea what normal was.
It was a great jump start
We kind of knew that it
financially,
was
for
like
sure.
this was probably just the environment, but you couldn't help but feel like you were super special.
Maybe we're just that awesome. No.
So it's an interesting.
We just caught a wave in the ocetion. Since then, the ocean has really calmed down.
Yeah, and we're doing fine, but it is like we're still understanding what normal looks like. Now we're having to learn how to market, having to learn how to do a lot of stuff that we didn't have to learn how to do initially because we came online at this just incredible
great
moment.
Yeah.
I know
Awesome
we
stuff, y'all.
I feel we're super lucked out.
So y'all have seen a downswing, obviously.
Oh.
For sure, yeah.
Yes.
It slumped way off of its peak. And actually, that was super fun is, we went from 5 units to 17 units because we built the 12 Lex out at Blue Sage. And that was exactly when
Of course.
dip happened.
But even that I'm grateful for because had we experienced a downturn before, we maybe wouldn't have expanded.
It's true.
And that would have been a loss,
It's
I
true.
think.
It was
So
promising
it's
enough
fine.
that we did expand. But then, we just had to reckon with the new environment. And luckily, it's still successful enough because we offer such a unique product that we are still constantly kind of looking at, what land is available and do we want to do more and how. And so we recently bought another piece of land and we were renovating a existing cabin that's on there and turn it into a HoneyTree feel. So we're gonna remodel, redecorate, do a whole deep.
It is. Right now, investing in the STR market right now, that feels on brand for us on some level because I feel like we constantly look at what we're not supposed to be doing and asking ourselves why
and then
not.
probably do it.
Even things like, basic, like all of the STR mantras when we, it's like heads and beds, right? This concept of like, how many people can you fit? Because that is, you can charge more money. TVs, hot tubs, TVs at your hot tubs.
Right.
Like all of this stuff that was like
amenities.
absolutely essential for a high quality B&B. And it's true. Like I think that if we had a pretty generic home that we were in town that we were trying to differentiate, I think you have to use those things. So more power to you if that's your game. But we realized that we wanted that we couldn't potentially do some of that. We can't have, our well isn't good enough to have the level of water features that some of these, we had to kind of.
Well, there's all kinds of constrictions we had to fit within.
Right.
But also identify what our value proposition is. And it's not, how many TVs are in the unit. It's not, it's something totally different.
Yeah.
And so, identifying that was very important for us.
Well, I think people from San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, all that, I mean, that's what they want. They want to be
Well, at least some
secluded.
of them. Yeah, enough to keep us full, I think.
Yeah. I mean, not 100% full. So
Right, not
check the
anymore.
website.
I would love just a staycation just to get out of my subdivision for a weekend.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's you and like thousands of other people.
Right.
Just like, and me too. We lived in subdivisions in LA and then in Houston for 5 years or 4 years. And like, this is all I would dream about. This is like honestly, if you want to go back to like the root of when this thing was born, it was in a cubicle in Los Angeles where I just found myself scrolling through this, like just when Instagram was like barely even starting. I was just at my desk, like scrolling through pictures of rural cabins in like Scandinavia and like tree houses. And there was like,
Wherever to get out of here.
and that was because there's just a craving in the human soul, I think, to just reconnect with God's creation. There's so many of these meta creations that like we took materials and combined them in new ways and stuff, but like that's not the fundamental experience that I think we were given in the earliest days of the species. And so I think there's a really deep longing
For sure.
that humans have to just go back and like, even if it involves a wasp nests in the eaves or like, but you see a roadrunner run across the parking lot and you hear coyotes at night and
Yeah, we did have a guest being like, will we be able to see deer?
I'll bet you a lot of
we
STR
will give you
owners
your
get that
money
question.
back if you don't see any deer.
Right.
Guaranteed. You're going to see 10. You're going to see 12. You're going to see
full
25
refund.
deer.
We
You
did-
might hit one.
Yeah, try
Be
not to
careful.
kill any. We did have a guest one time reach out this late at night. They reached out to our manager, Michelle Pappen. Was on call
Shout
all
out
the
to
time.
Michelle Pappen.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is our superstar manager.
Oh, Michelle?
Yeah, Michelle from the
really?
gym. Yeah, Hugel and Fitness. I
had no idea,
Or
yeah.
Hugel, what's it called? Hugel and CrossFit.
Yeah, CrossFit
CrossFit
Hulan.
Hulan.
Yeah.
Well, she was on.
had no idea.
She was
That's
on
funny.
call, and we get this call from the guest who is certain that someone is outside their unit, and they went outside and they like
somebody.
yelled, and they couldn't see them, and
flashlight,
they
couldn't
were
see anybody.
freaking out. And I can understand that. You're in a rural environment. You don't, there are like other cabins nearby. You don't know who any of these people are, and you're
You can
hearing
tell
sounds
them
that
if
you're
they're-
in.
They're rustling around in
And
the
Michelle
woods
had
right
been,
outside.
Michelle had been around long enough to be like, it's probably an armadillo.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it
raccoon
was.
or
And those
Oh,
people have
was
come
it?
back, I think, since.
Yeah.
Like, they got such a kick
Yeah.
out of the fact that, and it's like they were freaked because they called and texted multiple times. They
When
were
you're a city
really
person, your
spooked.
mind is just wired for like, if there's a rustling thing out there, it's probably a person.
Now, sometimes
So many people.
Sometimes the neighbors will go hog hunting at night. Now that I think is legitimately scary when you hear that
Yeah.
level of firepower at 11
You
o'clock
hear
at
somebody
night.
with an AR like,
We're like, fair
War
enough.
going on.
Fair enough. Your freak out is legitimate.
Well, armadillos scare the crap out of me every time I go hunting.
they're kind of loud.
They really
know
rustle
where.
around. Golly, man. Yeah. Well, that's what I
They're
always
cute,
worry
though.
about.
I have a soft spot for armadillos.
Yeah.
Some people hate them. They're tearing up my yard. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but they're cute though.
Yeah, they are. They are.
We went to the top last night for my dad's birthday. You've been out there on 290.
You know what? He's never been.
It's
I'm
cool spot.
Hilltop
I'm
Cafe.
embarrassed that
Awesome.
we haven't taken.
What's that?
Hilltop Cafe? Or
No,
what's it called?
so it's on 290 towards Harper. The top.
the top.
Yeah.
No, I've
It's
never.
kinda-
Even, I
it's
don't know
somewhat
if I've heard of
newer,
it.
I think.
Okay.
But anyways, it's on the right. It's a few miles out of town, and they have this whole outdoor area, which is it's pretty cool. It's a good spot for kids. They can run around. Kind of like we like to go to Witcher. 'Cause
Yeah.
Witcher has a
it's
whole
so fun.
enclosed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of another good spot for that for kids to run around. And I don't think Rowan or Ramsey have seen armadillo before, but yeah, there's
Wait, your
one.
other kid's name is Ramsey?
Ramsey,
That's
yeah,
cute.
yeah, Rowan, Ramsey,
That's
and
so
Red,
great.
yeah, all triple R's. But yeah, so they saw armadillo for the first time yesterday at this front of this little cabin, just hopping around. You know how they like
Yeah.
jump
they do like
in
a
their-
little,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then like pause. Do
Yeah.
nothing, and then like scoot again.
No, it's incredible getting people out of the city into the country.
It feels like
that,
a
man.
gift to
Yeah,
them.
it
And
really
like
is.
that's honestly going through our reviews. I read every single review that people post. And when they book on our website, they don't really have an opportunity to. We don't have a review process. For some reason, that's not like easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll go on Google and like Google Maps, find Blue Sage, and like actually actively go out of their way to go leave a review.
Yeah,
So I'll read all those and on all the Airbnb reviews. And it's just super fun to hear. Yeah, a lot of the people coming out from the city saying like, this was an experience that really allowed me to just step back from all the things that crowd my life take stock of stuff, do a little breather, heal from, the stressors, reconnect with someone or not. We get a lot of solo stays. People just come out because they just need a break. And it's so affirming. I love reading reviews. It's like my favorite part of the job now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of been part of our vision too, because like we love Fredericksburg and it's changing. And so we've actively tried to design towards the type of customer that we want in Fredericksburg. Yeah. Like we want people who, we don't want people who want to come here and get trashed. Like we're not interested in becoming another New Orleans or a Las Vegas or, of course those are out of our league, but it starts somewhere and there's just like, there's a significant drinking culture in Fredericksburg. And I mean, we both drink, I don't mean to cast shade there, but I'm not interested in becoming a place like where people come to get trashed. And so it does feel like we want to, attract a certain type of customer to this area, because the more customers who purchase in this line, that means the more businesses that will rise up around those people, businesses that are doing cool and creative things and encouraging people towards, really wholesome choices.
Some people, especially the old timers, are kind of want to quash tourism. Like, tourism is what changed the town. It's true, tourism changed the town, but at this point, you just have to decide what kind of town you want. It's never going to stay the same. It's going to be very different in 50 years. It's going to be very different in 100 years. I'll be the crotchety guy. Back when I was a kid. Yeah. It was tourists, but they were mostly wine tasting. And now it's who knows what. But just being where we are in terms of a business and wanting to cultivate in our town a certain type of, livability for our family that we're raising here. It's an interesting tension to know that, like, I'm just not going to exploit every opportunity to make money at all costs. I'm going to do that consciously because I live here.
Yeah.
Don't poop where you eat.
Right.
Like,
and
there's also some people who genuinely love party culture and they live here.
Right.
And there's a few of those. And, so it's kind of an organic tug of war about where you want your town culture to be, given that we do have a beautiful town with beautiful wildflowers, a lot of wineries, fun stuff to do. Like, we're a destination, but what kind of destination?
Yeah.
Who's
point.
interested in coming here?
Yeah. Let's
just try to move the needle to like quiet getaways, people who appreciate the natural beauty of where we live. Yeah. That's like the heart and soul of what
who enjoy high quality wine, who love good restaurants, who like, the Pioneer Museum.
How lucky are we that we have like good restaurants?
Dude, y'all have the best, it's the
good
best
coffee, things to do, the Witcher Brewery, we're so lucky, and that's because of tourism.
And the Nimitz, it's mind blowing that we have such a high quality museum.
It's a great museum. My boss in LA was like, Fredericksburg, you're moving to Frederick, that's where the National Museum of the Pacific War is, and he's like a New York Jew, has no like reference point to anything in Texas. I'm like, I don't even know that. Like a World War II buff, and he just knows like that's where the Nimitz is
staple of our town for
So it's a jewel. We have all these jewels now.
Yeah.
It's and you can't hide that under a basket. You just have to guide the branding of what we are and who we are and what our community is like.
Yeah.
So that people who appreciate those wholesome values can come out and appreciate them and take a rest from their city jobs or whatever.
Amen.
Absolutely.
That's funny because that basically just answered my question. The biggest question I had it was. You said every resident has a different vision of Fredericksburg and every business shapes the character of the town. What kind of Fredericksburg do you want to see? And you basically just nailed it there.
Question.
What
kind of Fredericksburg do you want to see?
We have such
it might be different than mine, So
do
what you do. And
I don't mean to
shape the character.
I don't mean to I really love what we have available to us in their town. Like the fact that you can get like good lattes at like multiple places.
So many places.
That's absurd for small town Texas. That's just crazy.
Keitel, we learned recently that Keitel Hughes, I think she's still Keitel Hughes.
Yeah.
Actually bakes all the bakery stuff at the Keitel Pharmacy coffee shop. She's she's the baker.
Albert's
I didn't even know
bakery.
That.
That's on Main. That's the old pharmacy.
So that's an example of
she's
cool
in the Keitel family. That's why her name is Keitel, and she's currently the baker. And that's cool enough.
And she's behind the bar most of the time, right there.
Yeah. Also, I've never seen her behind the bar.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh, yeah, like every second or third time that I'm in there, she's there.
Well, that's cool enough, and yet the pastries are out of this world.
Oh, they're so good.
And I have really high standards, I think, for
So
pastries.
good. Don't tell them our favorite pastry because then they'll get bought out and there won't be any left when we show up for our pastry. So, but you'll have to just try them all.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think that we have. I love that, tourism has afforded such cool stuff in this town, and I, you can't ignore the fact that that's why it's here.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's going to roll into the next question. You also said tourism is the lifeblood of Fredericksburg, but then you ask a really important question. Who are we marketing to? Who should Fredericksburg be trying to attract?
Yeah. And that's tied up with that last answer.
It is.
Right.
Yeah, it really
it's
is.
like, who's flipping through a magazine and sees something the Visitor Bureau, published about what Fredericksburg is. Yeah. And who's going to respond to it and go, oh, like if it's something about a great bachelorette destination and I happen to be, engaged or whatever, I'll be like, oh, sweet. I'm a bachelorette in that scenario. Or is it, a stargazing, advertisement about the beauty of natural Fredericksburg? Like two different people are going to respond to that. And I just, and again, more power to other people pulling in a different direction. Like this is a free country and that's what makes it beautiful. And I don't begrudge that. I do live in this town and I do really want my kids to grow up in a beautiful town that, it doesn't have drunk people stumbling out on the street every weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
But I like a margarita as much
Yeah.
as the next guy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's
Honda's
it's
got
a
a great
little
one.
bit of it's just a character definition that's going to happen naturally.
Yeah.
And I'm very kind of wary of legislative things that will like try to force shape it in certain ways. I don't know that that's the answer. I just think that, when it's important to you, vote with your dollars and market and, shift to like try to make it the place you want it to be.
Yeah.
But there's a place for all of it too. So legislation's important too.
Oh, 100%, man. I had a great conversation with Sheriff Yala too. I don't know if you listened to that
I did.
one, but we
that's one
talked
of the
a lot.
episodes I watched.
Had some.
He's got a cool story.
He does, man. He does. But I feel like he's doing a great job with, trying to make it a safer place too. With, obviously it's a drinking town, everything they did on 290 to try to make that a little bit safer. And then, just with our kids, our youth, that video actually blew up recently.
Really?
It's just a little snippet of us talking about, drugs and stuff within our youth, and what they can do to help correct that and all that. It's a problem everywhere, obviously, but specifically talking about Fredericksburg, what they can do, and I think they're doing some pretty good stuff to try to nip that in the butt. You know what I mean?
Good to hear.
So, I know you got some more questions.
Yeah, no, I know we're trying to keep this thing on an hour basis.
You've done an awesome job just moving things like.
Well, thanks.
Just key questions
we're
only.
on a time schedule, but I do, with Fredericksburg and Kerrville too. Like it's a more higher end place to come and visit. You know what I mean? And so, which I think is a blessing in a way.
In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways,
Like
to where you
property's
don't.
more expensive. Like this is a shadow to every
Right.
light, thing with light. There's a little shadow. But
Yeah. So it's kind of nice that it's like that, just because you don't get just a bunch of riffraff coming
Yeah.
through here.
Yeah. The streets are safer and,
Yeah.
there's not, you're not going to find needles lying around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So just the last few questions here. Katie, since you grew up here, do you feel the changes happening here in Fredericksburg differently than in Jacob you might be feeling? Because obviously it is
How
different.
do you feel? Then I'll tell you how I feel.
I think growing up here, I really had a concept of this being a tourist town as a kid.
Already.
You didn't go to Main Street on Saturdays. So that was already part of the culture. Now it has changed dramatically and the tourism has changed dramatically, but like we weren't a wine destination when I was a kid. And then I left and I didn't see a pathway to come back. And so I didn't even imagine coming home because I just, wasn't sure what we would do.
Yeah.
And so the fact that tourism gave us the opportunity to,
We were able to build a
a
house.
life here was huge. And I know it has I know it has changed dramatically, but it was very impressed upon me as a kid that this was a tourist destination, that people liked walking Main Street, and that, back then I really had a concept of us as a peach town, which just seems
That's
silly.
so quaint. I love that.
Silly now, but like, so I don't know that, I still kind of operate like that. Like you're not going to find me on Main Street on a Friday night late or a Saturday night late. Like, we steer clear of town on weekends.
Yeah.
So I haven't really actually witnessed the dramatic changes on some level.
Do you think we're operating as parents the way that your parents operated as parents of kids in Fredericksburg? Like, because we'll like drop our kid off at the library and pick him up 2 hours later. And, if, meet me at Marketplace, like, it's a pretty, like, we are very trusting of the community that's here. And the fact that like, you're going to see somebody, every single day if you're in town.
Oh,
Yeah.
At least one. If you go to HEB, you can see a dozen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would say that's true generally.
Pretty
like
similar
I
to the
tend
way
to
you
think
were.
that, if I'm leaving my kids at Marketplace for a while, my older kids, right? But
Yeah.
that they're fine.
And was that how
And
your parents did as well?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we lived in the country, so we had to get,
Yeah, you had to get into town.
Yeah.
Do you think we are in town more often than you guys were in town as kids?
No. I'm sure it's the same.
About the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's hopeful that it's not like a totally different town
Yeah.
than it was at that time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I moved here my sophomore year, and it's definitely changed a lot. Graduated in 2011. So
Okay.
since then, a lot has changed. But we spent a lot of time just out on these county roads and stuff. A lot of my buddies had ranches and stuff. So we were going ranch to ranch and all that stuff. But we definitely spent a lot of time just out in the county and stuff. We didn't, we were sure at a couple of buddies' houses and stuff in town, but we did a lot of stuff.
Mostly
just
rural.
out. Yeah. Spending a lot of time outside, a lot of fishing, kayaking. Things of that nature, so.
My brothers, one of my brothers, when he was like 11 years old, came up to my mom and he was like, "Mom, how do you get a ranch?"
You gotta work hard.
That's what we're all trying to do.
Very, very hard.
Yeah, sit down, son. You don't.
You know.
The time is come and gone, maybe.
Yeah.
But, at least here locally. You got a couple more?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think y'all done a really good job of
thanks.
explaining everything.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll remember to tell my parents. I always feel
I
bad.
will
I
forget.
would never tell my family when we have any kind of like media attention. So I'll try to remember.
Well, it's definitely been fun, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for having us
anything
on.
else? Well, I know y'all have some more stuff y'all building right now. So you want to
Yeah, we
touch
actually
on
aren't
that?
even sure what we're doing. So
Okay.
we're remodeling
that one you
an
bought,
existing it's a beautiful little cabin.
That's
but it
on
was
some acreage, too.
destroyed inside.
No,
it's actually not.
It's on
not
our
very big.
road.
It just
Something
happens
came
to
up
be
for
close
sale.
to the original 5 tree homes.
Okay.
And so
Oh,
we were
cool.
like,
Sweet.
Yeah, we're like, if we're going to fold
It's
something
close.
in, then this is a good location for it. So right now we don't exactly know where we're going with it, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we'll do a family unit because that's honestly been pretty, like, you can tell people really enjoy being able to bring their kids along to a treehouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is a cabin, but I'll have some cool treehousey stuff going on with it. And I honestly don't even know what yet. Like Katie said, I love to just improvise once I'm in the space and like figure out how to do a fun, how to make it interesting.
Yeah.
So that'll be a family unit. And then there's
Awesome.
space for more units. We might do a couple more. After that, you'll have to have us back on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know.
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
for sure.
yeah, planning, that's just not
No
really how
planning.
we operate.
That's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
number.
Yeah.
Planning is a number.
Well, that's
I don't
probably
do that.
why it was hard to GC your own stuff, too.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I'm just not built for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't want to like I could have done better. I could learn. I can do better. And certainly if I did it again, I would already be twice as efficient. And like, I would just know what corners to see around. When you're doing anything for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, when you're a visionary, it's and you're trying to create your own
Yeah.
thing. It's really hard to GC because your guys that you
That's
sub out
true.
are just one track minded of let's
Yeah.
get this thing done so I can get paid.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
we thankfully ended up with some subs, this one crew specifically, where he just enjoyed the work because it was unusual. And he was really happy to sort of like
Yeah.
roll with Jacob.
Chagoyas Construction.
That's rare.
Servando.
Servando.
Servando Chagoyas.
He was
Okay.
He
he
is
was a
awesome.
lifesaver for us.
Yeah, so he's got this little skeleton crew, just Swiss Army knife. They can do all the things. And so I would just, be able to be like, hey, I decided that wall's actually not going to go there. We're going to do it over here. And he's like, ooh, do you want to do that? I'm like, why? So we kind of did a lot of that.
That's awesome.
And he's super great and like quality building too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't cut corners.
That's cool. Good deal.
But man, you got to go through a lot of crews to find one.
Oh,
that
man.
really
Yeah, that was another
you
thing.
probably know this.
Yeah, that's another
when you
thing.
find one
One-off.
that works well, you're like, never leave me.
Right, and we would also run into the fact that like these subs had builders who they were more loyal to than us and are like one-off thing, and that was understandable that
If
we
you
were
can't
not going to
feed
get
someone for a whole
prioritized.
year, they're gonna go. They gotta keep on working.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so it's been. I mean, I don't know. I don't regret that we've pivoted from that. It's like it's okay. It doesn't.
But who knows?
It doesn't. I still
Maybe
love you,
this time-
even though you don't like being a GC. It's really fun with me.
Too good. Who knows? Maybe this time next year we'll be talking about the development in Dallas that we're doing.
Yeah.
Out by a lake.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and-
Or not,
who knows?
we might not be talking about.
Or we might not be talking about that. You can
That's
tell what
something totally
Katie
different.
would prefer that we not be talking about that.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be flexible and like follow where the inspiration and the motivation is leading, because I
Yeah.
think then that's probably where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it's a constant, it's a constant adventure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I have to ask one last question.
Absolutely.
To bring the Lord back into it. How has your faith guided you through this
Love that.
this whole experience?
Good question. I mean, it's inextricably linked to all decision making, not because I'm a super holy person, just because you can't avoid the fact that God is involved at all times, whether or not you think he is. And so I mean, you can look at your story and see the path of providence that goes straight through it, which in our case, like, absolutely, there's so much providential stuff that just happened.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so here's a little example. We had purchased something like $20,000 of lumber for the final 2 units in that first the fiveplex.
Yeah.
And then the state shut down from COVID. Every booking got canceled.
lost every
Airbnb did this thing where they were like, sorry, hosts, you can't keep anybody's money because this is an act of God situation where no one can keep their reservation. That's understandable.
Yeah.
But the business just died.
Wow.
And we were like, we just bought all this lumber. And like now nobody's coming to any of our units, and we're like just like double down. We're building 2 more. And I was like, well, I mean, everything's shut down. What else am I going to do? I canceled my, the teams that were going to help me on the builds, because by the time 4 and 5 were going, I was like, framing help would be nice, roofing help would be nice, drywallers would be nice. I was still doing, at least 50% of it, but I had learned how to hire some people. But like we canceled all that, and I was like, what am I going to sit inside? So I just busted my tools out again, and just like I did on the very first cabin, I was out there, carrying 2x12s up a ladder to like just build these myself. And so that was a moment where like providentially, by the time we, the state started to reopen, and then people in cities just needed to get the F out into the country, into a single like cabin that wasn't like a hotel group environment thing. It was the COVID mentality where like, I just want to go.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of cleaning procedures and stuff we put in place to make people feel comfortable. But that was providentially, and the fact that then we had 2 more units that we were able to offer during this incredible spike. Like I couldn't have charted that. So anyway, that's just like a Providence example of like something that looks like, Providence often does, looks like, this is an insurmountable problem that turns out to actually be a huge gift, and you just couldn't see it at the time.
Yeah.
And then you can see it in retrospect.
Yeah.
This is like a different story entirely on some level, but I won't go into. But Jacob has relatives who live in farming communities, and they were like a pretty like important stabilizing aspect of his childhood, which
Amish.
was like
They're Amish.
They're effectively Amish. And his uncle was talking to him one time in basic cast a vision that was like, I think this was when we were engaged, maybe. And he basically said, I hope that you're, and Jacob worked in film and television, which for his Amish relatives was like a little terrifying. So.
Explaining that to them was painful.
And so his uncle cast this vision of like, I hope that you find work that your family can participate in. so that it's not like your work is a really isolating feature of your life, but instead it's a really, foundational part of the family. And I feel like that kind of changed the way that you approached what you wanted to do with your life on some level. And we recognized it, like, in the Catholic Church, we talk a lot in terms of vocation, and being called to the married life and being called to the family life is central to that vocation. It's more essential than your career. It's more central than, so it's just one of your primary choices. It's like, are you going to be called to the religious life? Or are you called to family life? And so for us, that became like, okay. And so it meant we left LA because we're starting a family and we couldn't afford it.
Providentially, we couldn't afford it.
So
and thank you, God.
We ended up kind of pivoting towards thinking about what kind of a life do we want to build for our family? What kind of family culture do we want to devise? And, and effectively, like, what is Jacob good at? And at the time, I had been in LA. I was a grad student. I was an adjunct professor in literature, and Jacob was like working in film and TV.
Like temp jobs.
So, we made like $800 a week or something, and we lived in like one of the second most expensive city in the nation. So we were joke broke. But also, wanting to start a family. And so we did have to kind of pivot towards thinking in terms of providing for the kids. And effectively, like, I remember it seems so ridiculous and not like my personality. It sounds like your personality, but like, you like bought a trailer, strapped all our stuff onto it, drove it from LA to Texas, where I was staying with my parents and our baby because we were moving to Texas. My grandmother said we looked like the grapes of wrath. But my brother was like hunting for properties, and I read like his like real estate book that he like left at the breakfast table. And I was like, I can do math, and Jacob is really handy. I was like, I think this is how we're going to make actual money, is that like, we're going to figure out how to like, get into this space. Yeah. And it was literally like while you were driving, and then you started listening to Bigger Pockets all the time. And so that was kind of
you guys are familiar?
That's a good podcast.
We were pretty early adopters on Bigger Pockets. I've dropped off, but like that was a real inspiration for just learning how to think about business.
Yeah. So Houston was flipping houses for us. And so that was kind of what got us to a point where we could even seed the business. But basically it was this kind of shift kind of towards like, how can we make money? But the money was in service to the family. And once we felt like, okay, we can support this family, then it became like, well, what are our God-given strengths on some level? And we talked a lot because, when you think about like, how are you, how is your life of service? Like, what might that mean? And for some people, it's very service oriented. Like I'm like the child of doctors who really understood their work as service. And our work was kind of like, well, how can we make a buck flipping a house? Like in some ways it felt a little emptier, but at the same time, recognizing that we both valued design and we both in some ways it was like, okay, this is something that we're good at.
Yeah. Some version of that must be where we
and in some ways, like leaning into the gifts that God has given you and letting him use you in that way, might not look exactly like volunteering at a soup kitchen, right?
Right. I can't tell you how hard it was to let go of like my film and television career dream, but also the feeling that I was embracing a more like modest and family focused future. Like was one of the most empowering and beautiful like decisions that I am so thankful was sort of made for me, and I made. God and I co-made the decision to like leave a career, go be a handyman, and play to the strength that, because even in LA in my office job, I'd come home and like build furniture with my table saw. The neighbors were so mad, but it was there. I just enjoyed that more. Yeah. That was like an inner thing that like, so, whoever you are, wherever you are, if there's things that you are good at and you can embrace those and let God lead you through those things, like that's beautiful. And you end up getting to a place that's really wholesome and clicks well. Yeah. And if you're doing that with a partner, with a spouse, with a business partner, whatever, that's just another element to the recipe that, goes into it. Yeah. So we feel so thankful, so thankful that.
And Jacob's also like super great at having kids on a work site. not everybody has that strength.
Yeah.
But you're going to say super good at having kids. Also true.
Well,
Actually, I think having kids on a work site is like one of your superpowers.
Yeah.
That you can really, because I think
can
that
have them on our work site, but I get focused on trying to like accomplish something, and you can't accomplish things when you've got kids.
But not as much. But at the same time, some people just can't handle the danger that the kids are in, or what they're gonna mess up, and like you're like, here, here's this little saw, and here's some 2x4s, and don't cut yourself.
Right.
And that's a little terrifying, but also like I think important for kids. And the fact that you can do that, and our kids have just grown up on these work sites, just like playing around and building things, and sometimes helping, and sometimes just not getting into too much trouble.
Every summer, I'll pay one of my sons $3 a nest to just like go under all the tree houses and like find every wasp nest.
$3 a nest.
$3. They earn some money. Though.
I bet so.
Some summers, man, they walk away with $20-$30. Dang it, I got to lower the rate.
That's so cool. I appreciate you sharing that. That's awesome. That's good stuff. Well, if so for those who are watching that may want to stay at one of y'all's units or just reach out to you guys, questions, where can they find you? How should they reach out to you? HoneyTreeFBG.com. So HoneyTree and FBG like Fredericksburg. That's the website. Also, HoneyTreeFBG is our Instagram handle. And we're pretty actively post on there. Besides Michelle, who's our awesome manager, we also want to shout out Madeline Griege. She handles our social media, and
that means that we never have to actually get on Instagram, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it's a doom scrolling type of place to be.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but awesome. It's great too because we get our pictures out, and that's kind of the thing that draws people in. Like, whoa, that's different. Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
well, cool.
Yeah, come visit the
you can
website,
sign up for our newsletter. We have Madeline puts together an absolutely adorable newsletter with all kinds of cute stuff that's going on around town.
Love that.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, it's
right.
So,
oh, yeah.
The HoneyTree newsletter. The HoneyTree newsletter just talks about new restaurants opened up. Here's the swimming holes in the area if it's summertime. Here's what happens at Marketplatz during the winter, like Christmas stuff. Like she just gives a little rundown of like if you're coming, here's some cool ideas. And like, so
very cool.
Get
on the newsletter.
It's very digestible.
And, so the HoneyTree newsletter.
And we like it
we're
because
going to get like
we own
2
that.
new subscriptions. We're like, that was from the podcast.
We own that mail list as opposed to like Instagram where you don't look on any of your followers or Airbnb, you don't know any of your guests. Building that's been really valuable.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Awesome.
So cool. Well, y'all, it was a pleasure having you on. Thanks again.
Thanks so much
for having
you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
For
it's
sure.
Pleasure.
All right, y'all. Well, that's it for today. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, but also the little bell so you get notified anytime we put out episodes just like this. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of those channels, make sure you leave a review. That'll help us get these episodes out to more people. But outside of that, y'all, again, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank y'all both.
All right. We'll see you around town. Bye.